Hey, what's going on? It's the Political Brown Kid here, and I'm back. Once again, I'm still on this subject because this subject of Hollywood in black and white, and I've just kind of dropped another one on Lost because I've watched season one of Lost, and it parallels with what I talked about with that television show, or the Amazon Prime streaming show, The Boys. And it's just, once again, it's this recurring themes that I keep telling y'all about. But this time I'm going to read y'all an article that was written by Ariana Brockington, and it was written May 30th, 2023. And it is in today.com. That is today.com. It is by Ariana Brockington. So this article is a little over a year old, and it dives into detail about the television show Lost. And for those of you that are not familiar with the show, this was a show that was very popular like back at like 2000 or 2001, 2002, somewhere around that time. It's an old show. I watched a few. To me, it wasn't even interesting. It wasn't worth watching, but I did see season one and season two because I saw where it was going racially, and I wanted to report on that, which I did. And you can go check that Hollywood in Black and White out. It's called Hollywood in Black and White, Lost Season 1. So I'm going to dive into this article. This article is titled Harold Perrineau, I hope I'm saying your last name right. If not, I do apologize. Says he was fired from Lost after asking for character to have equal depth. Now, before I get into this article, this is why I have to say I think that a lot of our black actors and actresses they're really in a bind in Hollywood, but that is no excuse. I'm not making an excuse. I'm just adding context to, a different perspective so maybe we can have understanding. They're trying to navigate staying gainfully employed and trying to navigate, I guess, their morals. And some of these Hollywood people don't have any morals. I think Halle Berry doesn't have morals. I don't think that Carmody Jogo or Tandy has morals. I think that they're just in it and they're trying to build their own self-careers up. And there's a lot more actors like that too. Who's that young actor that played in Spike Lee's television movies? Not television, he played in He Hate Me, and now he's a Marvel superstar. I think he doesn't have any morals either. I don't even know what his name is. But they're worried about their own personal career, but they don't look at how it reflects on the black community. So they don't push to say, hey, well, why is my character the only black character? Hey, why am I only cast dating white women or white men? Hey, why am I always cast as the asexual character? Why isn't there a black nuclear family on these shows? Why are we always viewed as homosexuals? They don't point any of this stuff out because they know that they're going to face the same thing that Harold Perrineau faced in this article. I'm not going to read the entire article, but it's going to be flashing on this screen so that y'all can see it. So I'm just going to read the highlighted parts. It says, although Harold Perrineau was one of the biggest names attached to Lost, because when you look at the show, you're not really going to recognize some of these actors. I recognize one later on. He had a bit part in Yellowstone, I think season 3 or maybe 4. He was the guy fishing in the lake. So you're going to recognize a few people, but let's just continue. Although Harold Perrineau was one of the biggest names attached to Lost, his character appeared less frequently over time. He revealed that he was fired after asking that Michael have equal depth compared to the other Oceanic Flight 815 survivors. In an excerpt from author and television critic Maureen Ryan's new book, Burn It Down, Power, Complicity, and a Call for Change in Hollywood, published on Vanity Fair. So if you want to read the book, that's the name of the book, Burn It Down, Power, Complicity, and a Call for Change in Hollywood. And it's published by Vanity Fair, and it's written by Maureen Ryan. So this is where you can check out detailed conversations. So now let's just jump to this other section. He says that the showrunners of Lost, and for those who don't know, I'm just going to give you a quick synopsis, very quick. It's basically about 46 individuals who survived the plane crash. The plane crashes on a remote island, and they're just trying to get rescued. And there's 46 of them. You're going to see Harold Perrineau. He's the father named Michael. He's paired with a son named Walt. Once again, there's no nuclear family because he wasn't traveling with his a black wife. And I explained that in my Lost, Hollywood in Black and White on Lost. And then there's another heavyset black lady. She's older, and of course she's paired with a white man. But yet all of the other characters, I thought they were Japanese, but it says Korean. It said Korean on my television screen in Netflix, but I thought they were Japanese, but I don't claim to be an cultural expert, so I do apologize if I'm wrong. But it's two Korean characters on there, and they get along just fine. They're paired up, man and wife. So they're paired up and they're in love and they're together. And then they have multiple white women with multiple white men pursuing them and being flirtatious with them. But yet here's Perrineau just around with a little kid. And once again, he doesn't even know his own son because they're estranged. And so once again, it's that we're black, but we are always contentious and we don't have great relationships. But let's continue. But this is all, I'm just pointing out who this showrunner is. So if y'all want to just ping him the heck up and ask him why they do what they do with us and challenge them to go forward and do better, please do so. Don't be rude about it, but just challenge these people to do better and represent black love, black nuclear families, black heterosexual men, black heterosexual women in love, pursuing each other. Because they don't write that stuff for us. And I'll explain to you about that with The Boys and even with a lot of my other shows. When you watch stuff on television, when they show a black woman with a white man, like Halle Berry begging, make me feel good, it's always a bunch of passion in those sexual scenes. When they have black men with black women, they just write something. It's just, oh, nobody cares about these two characters. Let's just write something. And then they put it'll be like two Big Bertha type characters. They'll have like Reginald Vale Johnson and Mary Jo Patton. And there's nothing wrong with them, but they show these people when they're old, out of their prime. And then that's the black love that we get. We don't get to see two strong, virile people like, they don't show you Halle Berry with Idris Elba or something like that. They don't show you two young, handsome, and gorgeous black people getting it on because they want to create a narrative. And television is popular. So these are the showrunners, Damon Lindelof and Carlton Cuse. So Perrineau, as well as multiple Lost actors and writers, are quoted in the book, detailing a toxic environment behind the scenes. Lindelof, Cuse, and ABC did not immediately respond to Today.com's request for comment. So now we move on, and they're talking about Harold Perrineau told Ryan that he joined the ensemble cast because the creative team crafted a story that was really equitable and highlighted all the characters. He recalled initially being such a believer until he noticed in the first season that Michael, that's his character, excuse me, that's his character's name Michael, was not being featured. And now they are quoting him. Harold Perrineau says, it became pretty clear that I was the black guy. Daniel, which is Dae Kim, the actor Dae Kim is playing this guy Daniel, was the Asian guy. And then you had Jack, Kate, and Sawyer. That's what Perrineau's saying. And Jack, Kate, and Sawyer, I'm assuming are James. Well, no, I think that's the name on the show, Jack, Kate, and Sawyer. And they're played by these three actors, and they're all white, but they're kind of like in this love triangle. You can see this kind of love triangle building up between these three. The two men are pursuing her. Perrineau said the actors of color were also placed in the back row or on the ends during cast photo shoots. Of course, that's what they want to do. They want to hide you. They want to give you DEI, all this. See, this is for people, this is for all you black people who think affirmative action and diversity, equity, and inclusion are going to get you somewhere. And really all they do is hire you to be like, yeah. See, we hired a black person. See, they're over there. And then they stick you in the background or they don't fast track you. And this is regardless of what career. You can be an accountant, and they're going to stick you. They're going to give you some accounting books to do, but they're always going to give the white people the fast track. Or even if they're not, they're going to give you the most difficult work, and they're going to find a way to promote the white people. I don't make this up. So let's just move on. Now, going back to the highlighted part down at the bottom, but it seems like this is now a story about Jack and Kate and Sawyer, he said at the time. So that was Harold Perrineau stating. In response, Perrineau said, The producer replied that Lost fans found Jack, Kate, and Sawyer to be relatable. Now, of course, the studio is going to tell you anything. And I'm not trying to say, and let me be clear, I'm not going to say that the studio is totally wrong here. Maybe that they did some studies because there's, if people don't recall, Jaleel White's character in Family Matters, Urkel, I think he was only supposed to be on the show one time, and the fans fell in love with him so much that it initially became his show. So things like this do happen. And then I think they even wrote off a daughter on the show. And, sometimes you'll see shows switch up because, of the direction or the way things, after looking at it, once it's out there and you get to see how things are moving along, you kind of say, okay, well, this is working and this is not working. So I'm not going to totally disagree with them on that. And also, too, you have to understand America, I keep telling y'all, America is a white country. There's only 40 million black people here. It may be 30 million. There's only like 30 to 40 million black people here. There's 200 million white people. So when they're looking at viewers and they're looking at responses, of course the white people are going to find the white characters relatable. That's if I was watching a black, that's like when I was watching the show Lost, I was sometimes found myself fast forwarding just to see what was going on with Harold Perrineau's character. Because I'm black, I want to see what he's doing. So I understand that and I get that. But also at the same time, this is where I have a problem because they'll use these excuses to put white people on the screen and to minimize black roles or to put us with white relationships. But a lot of Americans don't find LGBTQ relationships on screen to be relatable. And a lot of us push back on wanting to even see it. However, they force that down our throat. How come they can't force black on black relationships and black on black lead characters and black on black love down America's throat? They don't do that. What they do with our characters is they whitewash us. In order to show a black person on the screen, you have to pair them up with a white person and then give them a light-skinned mixed kid. That is the Hollywood playbook, and they've been doing this stuff for now over a decade. The only people that can get Hollywood acting roles are mulattoes. Honestly, you have to pass the brown paper bag and the comb test, especially if you're a black female. Especially if you're a black female, they'll hire a darker skinned black male first because they just automatically assume that women are supposed to have long, straight hair, flowing hair, and that they're supposed to have lighter skin. That's just my personal perception. But let me continue. Then came one particular storyline in season 2 that Perrineau said was too much. He said he read a draft of a script that focused on Walt being kidnapped. And Walt is his son. Walt is the son on the show. Walt is Michael's son, Harold Perrineau's son on the show. Despite being separated from Walt, Perrineau said the father only asked about his son's whereabouts once. Michael's asking, now this is Harold Perrineau quoting, Michael's asking Sawyer questions about his past, about how he feels, but he never again mentions Walt, he shares. So basically what they're saying is this. So you all may be lost because if you didn't see the show. On the show, Harold Perrineau's character Michael and his son Walt, and then 2 other characters, the Asian guy, and then I think it was, I forget the other guy, it was the white guy. They built a raft to get off of the island. They built this big raft to get off the island. When they left the island, they were confronted by a small dinghy. I think it's a dinghy. I'm not a boat expert, but it's a small boat. It's not a huge boat. It's a small boat. And this boat stops them. They take Michael's son, and then I think they set the raft on fire. So the 3 men end up back on the island, but Michael's son is kidnapped. And so basically what he's saying is that, and then after the writing of the show just was basically going on with Michael just living his life and talking to other people, but he's not even talking about his son, remembering his son. And this is the crap that I'm talking about. But I also mentioned too on this show was that they don't even show you any black or black interest. So the problem that I had with Harold Perrineau is this, and Harold Perrineau, by the way, is married to a white woman. So this is why he doesn't have a problem with interracial love. And this is why he didn't mention this as being the last straw. He didn't mention the fact that he has to play a degenerate black male who's out of work, just painting and doing odd jobs on the side, while his girlfriend, black girlfriend, was becoming this corporate lawyer and going to take care of him and the baby. He wasn't doing enough to take care of his family, quote unquote family. She refused to marry his black ass because for whatever reason, she was going to have this baby out of wedlock. She refused to marry him, but they were in love. She was going to give the baby her last name. She has the baby, finds a way to leave him and go off to Amsterdam, then calls him up, and she takes the baby with her, calls him up to says, I'm never coming back because now I'm dating the white man that hired me. Now, of course, mind you, when she's dating Harold Perrineau, she's the protector and provider, or the provider of the family. She's the alpha of the family. Now she's dating a white man. He's the alpha of the family. So who wrote that into the show? Why did that have to be written into the show? Why couldn't she marry another construction worker or pizza maker over in Italy? Some guy that's just selling, I don't know, cotton candy on the streets. But they pair her up with a man that's doing better than her. Mind you, she's a corporate international law lawyer, and they pair her up with the guy who hires her, so he's over her. And then she also says, oh, and by the way, I'm marrying him. So she wouldn't marry the black guy, but they write it so that she was so in love with the white man that she would marry him. And then also she wanted him to relinquish his rights to his child so that the white man could adopt her kid. This is the bullcrap writing that goes on these shows. But Harold Perrineau didn't find that to be too much for him, but he finds the fact that his son gets kidnapped and he doesn't ask any questions about his son. To me, I think that's I think Harold Perrineau does himself a disservice in that regard. But let me continue. Now he's again talking, so we're going on. He said, I can't be another person who doesn't care about missing black boys, even in the context of fiction, right? This is just furthering the narrative that nobody cares about black boys, even black fathers. Okay, Harold Perrineau, I hear what you're saying, but also you fail to mention that no one cares about black love or black relationships or the black nuclear family. Even you, because you don't even quote that as being something that you cared about or something that was the final straw for you. But let's continue. He said he addressed the storyline with Lindelhoff and Cuse in a phone call. And I think Lindelhoff and Cuse are the showrunners, but they're the gatekeepers of the show. Basically, you can just let them know they're the administrators of the show, whether it's showrunner, writer, executive producer. I don't know who these people are, but they're the white people running the show. So then Neil Perrineau said he sensed a change in his relationship with the showrunners. I guess after that phone call with Lindelhoff and Cuse, now he senses a change in the relationship between the showrunners. Now he's saying, so then they say before the season 2 finale was filmed, Cuse approached Perrineau and told him his character would not return for season 3, the actor revealed. I was effed up about it, Perrineau shared. I was like, oh, I just got fired, I think. When asked for an explanation, Perrineau said Cuse replied, well, you said to us, if we don't have anything good for you, you want to go. I was just asking for equal depth, Perrineau told Ryan. Ryan is the book writer. It was all very much, how dare you? And that's how white people are. As soon as you question their logic and as soon as you catch them doing sneaky stuff, they're going to get back at you. Yeah. And so basically they canned him because he challenged their writing. And he challenged the way they viewed black people on screen. Perrineau was not the only one who shared in Burn It Down that they were abruptly let go. And they're talking about from the show Lost. Writer and producer Monica Owusu-Breen, and this is a black female, Monica Owusu-Breen, black female, so she's a writer and producer on the show, who joined the writer's room for season 3, likened the working conditions to a hazing situation while speaking with Ryan. Now here's a quote from her. All I wanted to do was write some really cool episodes of a cool show. That was an impossibility on that staff, she said. Owusu-Breen continued, there was no way to navigate that situation. Part of it was they really didn't like their characters of color. When you have to go home and cry for an hour before you can see your kids because you have to excise all the stress you've been holding in, you're not going to write anything good after that. She said working on the set was similar to navigating middle school, adding that it was relentlessly cruel and nakedly hostile. Now this is very deep coming from this woman right here, Monica Owusu-Breen. This goes to show you the trauma that Black people face on their jobs all the time. We're not only frustrated at what we see as blatant racism towards us and towards our people, but we're also conflicted with having to keep our jobs or do something that kind of goes against our social conscience. And this is what she struggled with because she knows that when she brings this stuff up that she's going to be fired. And she has to literally sit in her car and cry. And you imagine the amount of stress and mental and emotional damage that you're going through, that you're sitting in your driveway or sitting in your garage crying before you can walk in the house and talk to your family. This is just ridiculous. And all you want to do is write a cool show. All you want to do is come to work and be creative. And they just create a hostile and relentlessly cruel environment similar to middle school. And we all know that life is like that. This is not just something that is exclusive to Hollywood. We go through this on all of our jobs, whether you work in nonprofit, public sector, private sector. This stuff goes on and we all face it. So let's just move on. Here we have another quote. I've never heard that much racist commentary in one room in my career, Monica Owusu-Breen stated. So here's another quote from Monica Owusu-Breen. So she's basically saying Lindelhoff allegedly called Perrineau, Lindelhoff claiming that Perrineau called me racist, so I fired his butt. So, but he said the other word. But you can see she's kind of cooperating with what Owusu-Breen had basically stated. I'm not making this stuff up, and I don't believe that Harold Perrineau's making this stuff up. Lindelhoff, whatever this person's name is basically allegedly claiming Perrineau called me a racist, so I fired him. And let me just stop here, because this is where I really want to stop. This is the mentality of people like Bill Maher. And I'm going to keep going back to Bill Maher because he's a public person that's on television and you can watch his liberal racism on display. White people think that just because they go to lunch with a few black people, or maybe they even have a few black friends. They probably have black friends that are like Clarence Thomas or Oreos, or people that are in Hollywood that live in this glass facade that thinks racism, and I'm talking about black people now, that racism no longer exists and we're all just colorblind because white people and black people in Hollywood think like this because white people accept them and they've made it to the top of the hill. They're the golden children. So they develop this complex. And these white people think that just because they know a few black people like this, that they're not racist. But they write racist stuff. They write black people in a certain manner. They want to love writing black women rolling around in the bed with white men. They love writing black men just being nothing, and there's just a bunch of confusion and chaos, and all we think about all day long is race and just a whole bunch of other nonsense. They don't just give us shows, and I told you all I did the Hollywood in black and white on Eddie Murphy's movie Boomerang. They don't give you a show like Boomerang where it's a big budget movie where there's a star and a bunch of black people in love with black people, and there's no talk of drugs, there's no talk of guns, there's no talk of violence. It's just a beautiful movie that's well done. You don't get that. Now, we got that from The Photograph. I don't know who did it, who wrote it, but you saw that in the movie The Photograph. But how often do you get a movie like The Photograph? How often do you get a movie like Love Jones that comes along? You get those very few and far in between. White people get that stuff every month. So let's continue. Owusu-Breen and her writing partner at the time, Allison Shapker, were later fired. So they were fired. I was so happy to be fired, Owusu-Breen shared. So you know your job is horrible. When you're happy to be fired, your job is horrible. The people that you work with are horrible, at least in your eyes. When you're happy to get fired, that you're miserable going to work. But let's continue. Writer Javier Grillo Marchel, I hope I'm saying your last name correct. Grillo Marchel did not have too many positive memories of his time on the set of Lost either. Now, I'll admit I have not looked up Javier Grillo Marchel to see what his ethnicity is. I'm only assuming he's Latino, but that could not be the case. But I'm pretty sure he's probably not white, but you can look him up for yourself. He quit the show after season 2. Let me say it loud and clear. It was that bad, and no one did anything because retribution was a constant and looming presence, he said in Ryan's book. This is coming from a third person. So now you have one actor and one black male actor and one black female writer and producer, and then you have this one other non-black, non-white person, I'm assuming non-white, coming out speaking that the environment was just messed up. So he's saying that retribution was constant. You couldn't do anything. You had to be a lemming and go along with the program. Ryan spoke to Lindelof multiple times about the allegations from Perrineau, Owusu Breen, and others. Now here's Lindelof's response. My level of fundamental inexperience as a manager and a boss, my role as someone who was supposed to model a climate of creative danger and risk-taking, but provide safety and comfort inside of the creative process, I failed in that endeavor, Lindelof said in 2021. So now they're trying to own up to it, but it's too little too late. You've already done the damage. That's just kind of like when somebody lynches someone, or let me just even take it even better. That's just like that white lady who lied on Emmett Till. And then you say, oh, I made a mistake. I may have done something that was bad. There's no taking that back. You can't take back the pain that Emmett Till went through when he was murdered. You can't take back the blows that he suffered, the torture that he suffered, the brutality that he suffered. You can't take back the suffering of his parents and his loved ones, and of people who had hope that there was going to be this whole racial unity. You've already altered the course of time. So yeah, you can come back and you can come and say that this little apology and acknowledge whatever it is that you did, but there's no taking back the damage that you did. So now the person is addressing, specifically speaking about Perrineau. He said he did not remember ever commenting, so I fired his butt. So now I don't remember saying that. So now he doesn't remember saying it. Okay. I mean, I can't take that away, but people just don't want to own up to their bullcrap. His statement said, it breaks my heart to hear it. It's deeply upsetting to know that there were people who had such bad experiences. I did not know people were feeling that way. No one ever complained to me, nor am I aware that anybody complained to ABC Studios. I wish I had known. I would have done what I could to make changes. Let me stop right here before I read this bottom part. No, let me just read the bottom part, because the bottom part is inconsequential. It's just, they contacted also the other showrunners. Cuse also denied that Perrineau was fired. So Cuse is denying that Perrineau was fired as well, and said the actor was switched from being a main cast member to a recurring role. So basically this person, Cuse, is trying to say that Perrineau quit because they didn't like being downgraded from a lead to just, a recurring or, just a secondary character. That's basically what they're saying, because after season 2, he was out. And then he came back in season 4 for a few episodes, and that was it. So that's one. But let's go up to the statement. It's called plausible deniability. I did not know people were feeling that way. No one ever complained to me, nor am I aware that anybody complained to ABC Studios. So basically, you're saying that just because no one complained, and to be honest with you, Harold Perrineau complained. Harold Perrineau complained directly to you, and you fired his butt. Monica Owusu Breen said she complained and she was let go, or she had questions, possibly. And when you challenge authority, this is what grown folks do. They act like middle school children, as as Monica Owusu Breen stated, and they let her go. So now this person's saying that they was not made aware of their toxic environment. This is a way to deflect blame. Instead of owning it, they deflect. I tell you, you can't make this stuff up. So this is the article. If you want to go read it, the article's definitely out there for you to read, even though we kind of went through the whole article right there. But the book by Ryan is out there. You can go purchase it if you want to. But once again, I challenge all of you to start looking at the credits of all of these shows and start finding these people on social media and start complaining, like, why aren't we seeing the representation that we're seeing? Because as you can see in this world, our group, the black group, is being torn apart. They're doing blanque miento against us. If y'all don't know what that is, I've stated it several times. Blanque miento is the whitening. They're whitening us down. What they want to see is they want to breed out blackness in America. They want to pair all of us up with a white person, produce a light-skinned child, then they want that child to breed again with white people until ultimately the ants to the genetics come out with white kids. They want to get rid of white black people, and y'all are not saying that. Y'all are too engrossed in delusion land to not see what is going on. And you're not going to see it until it's finally too late. I'm telling y'all. And it starts with these television shows brainwashing kids to think that whiteness is the best way and just black is dysfunctional confusion and a whole bunch of other stuff. But once again, this is the Political Brown Kid. I'm out of here.